Hello and welcome to TaleTeller Central. Today we have a spooky story that will definitely give you chills. It's the tale of the haunted house on Elm Street. Our story begins on a dark and stormy night in Elmwood, a small town with a mysterious house on Elm Street. No one knows who lived there or what happened to them, but everyone in the town knew that the house was haunted. But that didn't stop a group of teenagers, Samantha, Alex, Ryan, and Emily, from exploring the house. They had heard all the stories about the haunted house since they were young, and their curiosity got the best of them. They packed some supplies and set out for the house. As they entered the house, the floorboards creaked and groaned beneath them, sending a chill down their spines. The house, old and dilapidated, ushered them in with an almost ominous welcome. It was as if the worn-out wood, tarnished wallpapers, and creaking stairs were whispering clandestine tales of years gone by. Their footsteps echoed in the eerie silence, each one amplified by the dark, foreboding atmosphere that cloaked the place. They looked around, their eyes barely adjusting to the gloom. The air was thick with the scent of decay and abandonment, the dust particles dancing in the feeble light that creeped in from the broken window panes. Decades-old portraits, their faces barely visible, hung on the walls, seeming like silent spectators of their intrusion into the gloominess. A sudden sense of dread enveloped them. With every step they took, they could feel the house was not just an empty structure. It was alive. It breathed. It watched. It knew they were there. The feeling was subtle, barely noticeable at first, but it grew stronger, more tangible, with every ticking second. The walls echoed with the whispers of the past, the air grew colder, and the shadowy seemed to creep closer. Even the softest creaks of the floorboards under their weight reverberated like a warning, a plea to turn back. Each room they explored was filled with memories trapped in time. Derelict furniture, tattered curtains, and cobweb-laden corners each told a tale of their own. Old books lay open, their pages yellowed with time, the ink faded. Cracked mirrors distorted their reflections, adding to the eerie sense of displacement, of being in a world that wasn't quite their own. Their hearts pounded in their chests, their breaths coming out in shallow pants. They were intruders in this time-forgotten place. And it was as if the house knew it. There was an unspoken understanding that they were here, a feeling that they were disturbing something they shouldn't have. The heavy silence was punctuated by soft whispers, the rustling of old leaves, the scurrying of unseen creatures. They couldn't shake off the feeling that something was watching them. It was a sensation they couldn't ignore, a foreboding presence that seemed to be closing in on them, an unshakable feeling of being observed, scrutinized, evaluated. The air around them suddenly felt denser, the silence more profound, and then it happened. Just as they were trying to shake off the dread seeping into their bones, the walls seemed to close in. The feeling was surreal, as if the house was alive and reacting to their presence. The room narrowed, the ceiling seemed lower, and the once distant corners were now within arm's reach. A wave of panic washed over them as the claustrophobic reality of their situation sunk in. As they looked around, their hearts pounded in their chests. They were trapped, confined within the walls of the very house they thought was abandoned. The realization of their folly dawned upon them. They had walked into a trap of their own curiosity. The whispers grew louder, the air colder, the shadows more menacing. The house was no longer just a structure. It was an entity that had them in its grasp. Panic set in as they realized they may have made a grave mistake. And that's where we'll end it for today. Be sure to tune in for our next episode where we pick up where we left off.